Guys, hey, welcome back to another week of Lone Star Hammered, where we're going to take a closer look at the Warhammer meta and break down everyone's lists and see kind of where they're going. Today I have joining with me, I have Nick Doots to me again. He is right above me. And then I have Aaron or Aaron Kelman, probably one of the best hobbyists in this state besides Kevin Grubbs, who beats him out every single time. And then I have Brandon as well. So, and Brandon, pronounce your last name for me so I can get this one right.
Lucio.
Lucio, cool. So Brandon Lucio, all right. So hey, welcome back once again, guys. I'm going to give a real big shout out before we even start. Just everybody that watched the first video and everybody that subscribed. Thank you guys. You're making this possible. I mean, I didn't think I was going to get 50 subscribers. I think that's friggin' sweet. So let's rock into this. First thing, we are on Lone Star Hammered, so we are all drinking tonight. I have myself a Laws Whiskey House American Straight Whiskey. It's an experimental barrel, so I'm pretty pumped about that one. Nick, what do you got?
I got a cup of Joe from the hills of Nicaragua with a little bit of Michter's in it, just to keep it spicy.
Gotta have some Michter's. Aaron?
Today, I am drinking a limited release from a Texas company, Still Austin.
Okay.
116 proof, batch number 13.
All right. And Brandon, what do you got, man?
Man, I'm drinking Arnold Palmer's right here because I am recovering from the gift of Nerdle.
Hey,
I am
happens.
dying.
It happens, man. All right. Hey, so for our new people, Aaron, let's start off with you, man. So, real quick, how long have you been doing this hobby?
About a million years.
Okay.
Since 1989.
All right.
Before times.
Yeah. 1989. So you only have 6 years on Nick, so it's not too long. What armies do you have? And you can't say everything. You gotta name them.
Well, I'm pretty much all Imperium all the time, but what I've been playing for the last few years are Knights, Grey Knights, and Militarum.
Okay, cool. And of all the armies, even if you don't own it, what's your favorite army?
Man, that's tough. I'd probably have to say Knights.
Knights. Okay. Well, good thing we've got Brandon here because he just won this RTT this last weekend, the biggest one from the weekend. So, Brandon, hey, we're going to go through kind of similar questions, man. How long have you been doing the hobby?
Oh, man, I think I'm on just over 2 years now. I think 3 years in June.
2 years. Cool, man. So, relatively new compared to a lot of the other people like here right now. Okay. What armies do you own? I've seen a couple. What do you got, man?
So I've got Astra Militarum, Salamanders, Imperial Knights, and Orcs.
Okay. Which one's your favorite?
Visually, my Orcs, I've spent the most amount of time painting those things. They take a lot of time. They've got a lot of detail. But lately, it's been the Knights. When the new edition came out, I wanted to learn as few rules as I possibly could learn, and Knights were the way to go.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it, man.
Army.
Cool. Well, let's get started a little bit with everything else. Hey, so another thing that we have going on this week, since we got 50 subscribers, I'm doing our first giveaway. Plan is, guys, anybody watching, I'm going to be doing a giveaway every week. I'm going to be trying to showcase armies that didn't win the last week. So this week we have Sisters. So nobody from Sisters won last week, but hey, you guys tried, and I think Sisters are great. So our first giveaway is going to be Morven Vol. All right. So if you would like to enter for the Morven Vol giveaway, please like, subscribe, and then comment in the below section of your favorite army and your favorite alcoholic beverage. So now that that's out of the way, and I'll repeat that again when we get to the end, let's rock into it. So our first RTT that we're going to look at, because there were no GTs this weekend, but we had 7 RTTs throughout Texas. So Texas absolutely crushed it. I think it was over 80 people ended up playing, and that's really good. That's a great group of people that actually enjoyed the game. So good job. The first one is going to be super simple, super quick, and it's because their TO did not unlock lists. Unlock your list, TOs, so that everybody can see what's going on in Texas, guys. So that was the February Midland 40K RTT, obviously in Midland, Texas, with the name. It was a 10-man, and John Gibson won that event. I have no idea what army he played, but good job, John. And then second place was going to be Michael Feldling. So good job to everybody that played at that event, but unlock your list, TOs. Next one is going to be an 11-man event. So this is going to be the Brigandry Monthly, and this is going to be in Greenville, Texas. So going into this event, we're going to be looking once again at undefeated players. All right. Even if you got a tie, I still don't consider that undefeated because you kind of got half a loss. Our first player, though, is going to be Seth Mix, and he played Snake Bites.
Actually an insane list. If you take a look at it, just all squigs all the time.
Oh yeah,
100% in your face.
Yeah,
it's the only way to go.
So he ended up playing. He played a Death Guard player, a Black Templars, and a CSM. Right. So I'm gonna go through his list and we'll talk about it a little bit. So he even named it. He knew what he was doing. Snake Bite Squiggies, guys. He absolutely he called it out from the beginning. So he's got 1, 2, 3 Beast Boss on Squigosaurs. Those are huge units. They take up a lot of space on the board. They hit super hard, and they're kind of hard to eat through. And then he decided to go with the name one as well with Mazrog. And I've actually playing against that guy. He is a nightmare to chew through. And then we had 1, 2, 3 Knobs on Smash a Squigs. Big thing on this one is the only enhancement he had was Follow Me Lads, all right? So didn't throw any of the other enhancements, but made him a little bit more killy, which is pretty good. We had a unit of Gretchen, obviously just there to do some objectives or maybe hold his backfield and zone it out since his entire army's moving forward. A Kill Rig, a shock trump dragster. I didn't actually see that. That's even it's so aggressive.
Been a minute.
It's just amazing.
You've seen
man.
those flying around the
table.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, that's super great. And then we have looks like 1, 2, 3 units of 6-man Squig Boys or Squig Hog Boys, sorry, and then a squad of Storm Boys. So let's talk about this list, guys. What do we like? What are our takeaways? What do we think happened?
I mean, just right off the bat, it's 7 characters writing squigs, and then 18 dudes writing squigs, and then a bunch of Gretchen and orcs writing a giant squig rig. Like, come on! I
wonder if he like modeled his army to have little squigs too for the Gretchen. That'd be fucking sick.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
So.
This guy, he wants to be in your face, and honestly, I mean, playing Death Guard, he's gonna get there. He probably got Death Guard before they ever left the deployment zone.
Yeah, I actually think
I don't think CSM's tough enough. CSM's not tough enough to handle his melee.
Oh yeah, and this is a post slate RTT as well.
Yeah.
So he's running into Death Guard, Black Templars, and CSM. 3 big melee armies that took big hits.
Yeah, the Templars look surprises me because they're still pretty decent.
Yeah.
This army is basically world leaders, except everything's T6 and above, and a lot of it has Philippines.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. And it's all on a squig, apparently.
Yeah.
Yep. Would not want to see it, especially on Dawn of War.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish that I could watch some of those games. I love watching orcs on the board. Well, hey, man. Good job, Seth. You crushed it, man. Congratulations. So our next one is going to be 40K at Dragon's Lair. This is a 12-man in Austin, Texas. And our first winner is going to be Matthew Ali. And then after that was actually David Villarreal again. So good job to those guys. Weird thing on this one, I don't know how they did the rankings on this one because they both got first. So I think that they didn't even break down battle points. It was just based off of win-loss, which is super good.
They had the same score in battle points.
Yeah, they tied on battle points.
Did they really? Am I just missing math?
I was actually at that one.
Yeah,
Holy
actually,
shit, yeah, they
Brandon
did.
was there, so yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit weird. I was at that one. This is, I think, the second one that they've done. So it's a very new TO.
Okay.
So it wouldn't surprise me if there were some things that just were not set up properly first. I mean, honestly, just looking at it, the lists were unlocked from the start. So if someone wanted to tailor list, they could have. Doesn't look like it was happening. But it's new TO mistakes.
I mean, thank God they didn't tailor lists though.
No, Dragon's Lair is not a brand new store. They stopped doing Warhammer tournaments a while back, and someone convinced them to bring it back.
Okay. I thought I saw them maybe throwing up a new store somewhere. Might have been.
I personally, I love when people unlock lists. I don't even list Taylor. I just like to see what people are bringing. I like to I enjoy being like, holy shit, I'm about to face off at least like 4 Eldar players or whatever the hell.
Right.
So I enjoy it quite a bit.
And I get that. For me, I don't give the benefit of the doubt to other people. That's just what it is.
Yeah. All right, let's check out his actual list. So we're going to start with Matthew Ali. So Running Drakari. We kind of talked about this last week. Drakari, it's a boogeyman out there. I actually got to play my first game against post-slate Drakari this last week, and it went better than I thought it did. But let's rock into his list. So he's doing that Sky Splinter Assault Force that gives that ignore, cover, and lance as soon as you come out of vehicles. So you're coming out of vehicles. Let's say you got Cavalite Warriors or whatever the hell you have, and they ignore cover. That's phenomenal. I love it. It's really good. And then if they're not, let's say you're running Incubi or Witches or something like that, and they jump out and they're lancing everything. So they're taking advantage of some of the rerolls that we're going to talk about, and it makes them really good. First character he has is an Archon with the Nightmare Shroud. So this enhancement allows him to never be overwatched. It's pretty good. I think it's just not overwatched when they come out, right? Yeah, so it's just that turn. Super good. It makes that squad way more durable because they never have to worry about getting plinked off by small fire because those squads are not that tough. The next one is going to be another Archon. He has the Spiteful Raider, and that basically gives them an extra pain token if they kill things that are on objectives, I think, which is pretty good. Then we have another Archon. We have Drazar. Drazar gives that unit, I believe, +1 to wound or something like that. Nick, correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
I believe you're right.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I think he's got 3 Archons, so...
Yeah. And Drazar. And then he has Lilith as well. Lilith, after running into Lilith, is an absolute monster. That unit,
+1 to wound.
Yeah, Lilith makes her squad super, super good. She increases the AP of those witches and makes them very hard to kill. So those are the characters he had running into battle line. He's got some Cavalite Warriors with basic things you're going to see pretty much everywhere. They have a Dark Lance, a Shredder, a Splinter Cannon, and then a bunch of Splinter Rifles and a Blaster. 1 squad of Witches, a 10-man. Nothing new here on the Witches. And then only 1 Radar. Raider. So only 1 Raider. Really surprised there. The Raiders right now are super good. They're probably... They are now beating out Sagittars as the best transport unit in the game. Just for how cheap they are. They get the Bright Lance. And for how fast they move. We have 2 Venoms. Played against Venoms, the double Splinter Cannons are really good, especially into anything that is infantry. Super, super strong with those poison. We have a Court of the Archon. Oh, sorry, what you got, Nick?
I was just going to say, also an amazing transport. Don't forget that. I'll transport 6 infantry models, which I'm sure you'll get to here in a second. But quick and also a lot easier to hide.
Yep.
The Venoms.
Oh, yeah. No, they're super easy to hide. And they're actually like not the worst defensively either for their points. They're only 70 points again. So Raider is 80 and the Venom 70. And then he has a Court of the Archon. I actually don't like really. I like seeing it in the Court of the Archon. Their damage output I don't think is where it needs to be for the 85 points with so much that's available in that codex. We have a Chronos. The Chronoses are super good. They allow you to basically keep those pain tokens on a 4-up, which then makes you move it around, and you can actually pain token a lot of stuff in your army, so you're always getting either the rerolls where you need them or the extra AP or whatever you're going to get. 2 squads of Grotesques. We're going to have to check if the Grotesques actually take up 2 spots, because I bet you those went in those Venoms.
I was going to say Mandrakes maybe, but...
Really?
Grots.
But I think the Mandrakes up. I think the Mandrakes up and down on their own.
Yeah.
So they don't really need transports.
I wouldn't put the Mandrakes into transport. And then we have a 10-man Incubi, a 5-man Incubi. That's actually probably in one of those with one of the Archons. And then 2 squads of Mandrakes, both 5-man. I actually think the Mandrakes are there to shut down your opponent's midboard.
Yeah, Venoms can't take Grots in them, so they might just be running around.
I'm not surprised by that either. The one that I played the other day, he had one just running around, and then he had one with 5 Incubi and an Archon in it. Pretty much kind of what I think this guy is doing. And it was super effective. Even that one running around, because he was able to hide it so well, he can jump on objectives just whenever he needs to, or jump and do secondaries whenever they need to.
Yeah, and these are small little 90-point units, so not exactly a throwaway, but it could be a decent trading unit, or you're not chuffed if you're using it for actions either. So.
What, the Venom?
No, sorry, the Grotesque.
Oh yeah, no, I think the Grotesque could also be like a stat check. Like, hey, I'm going to come in from I'm going to put them in strategic, and if you forget about me on turn 3, because this is only 180 points of my army, you're going to hurt your backfield. And then we have 3 Ravagers. So the Ravagers, having those 3 Dark Lances, being able to move around, super durable, super hard to kill. So what are our thoughts on this list, guys?
Well, right off the bat, like, this is it. This is the boogeyman list that pretty much everybody is shaking knees over.
Yeah.
You've got 3 units of Incubi, 3 Archons, probably one's being led by Drazar, but
I think
quick.
You put Drazar with that 10-man, dude.
The bigger unit of
Incubi? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too.
So and I guess the other one just goes with a court, maybe with single volleys or something. But
yep.
There's a lot of pain token generation, and then the only thing that's weird to me, and I guess the points just don't add up, is no scourges or anything here, and like you were saying, low on raiders, but still an incredibly quick list and absolutely hits like a truck.
I mean, he obviously didn't even need the scourges, and I think sometimes the scourges are just like you're not necessarily throwing away the points, but it's something that people expect now is to see those scourges. They get to shoot and jump really easily. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
So in round 2, he actually played a mirror matchup with another Jakari list.
Okay.
And I played that list. Now, I said the scourges I think are a bit of a point cost, like a point waste. They were good against me, but I'm playing knights. Like, you want those. You want those against knights.
Yeah.
But see them have what is essentially an Eldar's Oath of Moments. We're just going to have these guys. We're just going to go ahead and reroll all hits, and then we're going to go ahead and reroll all wounds on 20 to 30 attacks. And you're just going to eat it. Like, yeah, okay. Like, what do I say to that? Okay. Yeah, that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Right now, Jakari is just one of those things, or they're just going to touch you, and you're just going to be like, okay, that's just going to happen.
Yep.
And there's not much. Maybe some flamethrowers, assuming you can overwatch them. Maybe.
Yeah, not with Imperial Knights you can't. But like,
yeah, thanks for the reminder. That the other Jakari player made sure to remind me about that.
Okay.
Yeah, he rubbed that in. but Matt's a good player, man. He's been around for a hot minute.
Oh yeah.
And I could tell you, I watched his game 3. I was right next door to it. They didn't even go halfway through the round before they both called it a game. He was playing Thousand Suns. I think by round 2 maybe, all of his transports were betting 9 inches off that guy's deployment zone. And he told the guy, "Look, man," he's like, "I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna have 3-inch charges, 2-inch charges across the entire board. What do you want to do here?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, I'll call it." He's like, "I've got no way to defend myself from this," and that was it.
Damn.
Because nobody has that kind of defense.
Yeah.
I mean, T-Suns are good, but they're not that good.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what he played into Astra Militarum, and I honestly think the Astra Militarum matchup might have been a scary one for him, just because of the amount of indirect that they have, and then when they get out, they still have a lot of shooting to deal with his units, and that's like one of the few ones where Dark Eldar maybe wouldn't even trade that well, but apparently they did. And then, like you said, he played the Dark Eldar and the T-Suns, so cool. No, I like it, man. Good job, Matt. I really like that list. I'm excited to see that at some future events with all the GTs coming up and everything in the near future. So, fucking.
What scares me about that list? It has some good damage output, but it has a lot of mobility and a lot of board control, and I think it's going to score really well on secondaries too. So if he doesn't want to stand in front of you toe to toe and bang with you, he's got other options. So
no, I 100%. I agree.
Really worries me.
With the point changes that they got, they're able to field significantly more, and then their damage output is disgusting, but their mobility, like you said, Aaron, it's already there. They're one of the fastest armies. Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see them play. What's that?
Tactical secondaries are gold for them.
Oh yeah.
Like I watched. Not a single one of them. No Jakari player should be taking fixed unless it's a guaranteed win.
Yeah.
Like, just the way to go.
Yeah, I don't think any player should take fixed really unless it's unless your opponent bleeds it. Just because it's so easy to deny a fixed secondary if your opponent takes it sometimes. Like there are some missions where cleanse and either homers or behind enemy lines or something that can be beneficial, but a lot of armies should be gearing towards tactical, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What a great lead into David's list.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But like you said, Lou, I think there's going to be certain situations, certain missions, and against certain armies where you're going to want to be able to flex into a fixed setup if you can.
100%.
And I think a lot of good armies are starting to get there.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. All right, man. Well, like Aaron said, let's roll into David's list. So here's our other number one, because they just happen to tie on battle points. Good job, both of you guys, for figuring that one out. That's fucking awesome. So David was playing AdMech again. He did not name it this week as just the shit that I happened to bring, or I forgot my army or whatever it was last week. This week he got robots sprinkled in for flavor. So we have a data smith, we have a tech priest, the manipulus, we have a techno-archaeologist, we have a unit of rangers, which is going to be there to, the rangers and the vanguard are there to buff up those robots that he threw in. We have a unit of vanguard, and all these are getting loaded out with what you think they would. They've got that plasma, they've got the arquebus, and the other ones have the plasma and arquebus as well. And then 1, 2, 3 units of the Iron Striders with the twin Cognis las cannons. A unit of Castellan robots. Once again, David just bringing out those units that nobody else is using. I love it. Love to see them on the table, and they look super sweet, and his conversions he did are awesome. Then we have 6 breachers, so the Cataphren breachers with the heavy arc rifles. And 1 squad of sterilizers, just a small man, obviously, to jump around, maybe harass your opponent, but definitely there to get some objectives. A squad of infiltrators with the taser goads, and then 1, 2 radium Giselles on the dragoons, and then 1, 2, 3 of the dragoons. Looks like they're maxed out. God damn, David, crushing it. Maxed out. Taser Lance Dragoons, and a Calidus. So, we have a first-hand account here. Brandon, how did this list do?
I regret showing up to that game. So,
that's a lot of meat. That's a lot of pollo, man.
Aaron is familiar with Canis Rex. He's our big dog on the field, right? Canis Rex is a monster. I watched those Taser guys remove Canis Rex turn 1. Looked at David and went, I should have never set up for this game.
Yeah.
Because by round 3, I was done. And this was Purge the Foe. So he was like, man, he's like, you might have me on this one. I was like, okay, yeah, Knights normally do good on Purge the Foe.
Did you take Bring It Down?
I took Bring It Down, yes, and that actually did well. Though every walker that I killed was 2 points, so that was pretty solid.
Okay.
But yeah, so those Taser guys are sustained hit 2s, Lance, anti-walker 2 up.
Yeah, you don't even need the Lance.
Right, exactly. So, AP 2, damage 2, I'm rolling 5s. What does go through is 2 damage apiece. Feel no pains on 6 up, just don't do it.
Yeah.
I think Canis Rex took, I want to say, upwards of 30 wounds before he went down.
Holy shit.
He just ate it.
Brutal, dude.
And that was even before the last cannon shooting at him.
So the last cannons I just dealt with rotate. Rotate just makes a difference for that.
Okay.
It was the taser. Those tasers just he didn't need anything else.
Okay.
With just those walkers, he was removing me.
God,
it was a bad time. It was a bad time.
I believe it. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it on the table. I haven't actually gotten to play against it yet. I have a game hopefully set up in the near future against David, or I'll see him at an event. But I'm really excited to see, because this is the second week in a row David's won the event that he went to with this mass amount of fucking chicken walkers. He's, like Nick said, it's a lot of pollo, man, and I like it.
I actually have had the pleasure of playing a list similar to this against him.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's pretty scary, man. This one that he brought is pretty much maximum David. It's got the chicken walkers with the las cannons that he loves, and I thought it was interesting. He only took 6 breachers. Everybody's taken more than that, it seems like, right now.
Yeah.
And buffing that one big unit. But those dragoons are a lot better than they look, especially against anything vehicle or walker or knight.
Yeah,
right.
They have innate defenses built into, like, they're pretty hard to eat through, and their damage output, as Brandon said, is nothing to laugh at all.
Right. So
yeah, I mean, this is one of those lists you look at it and you think, God, I'm just going to beat the shit out of that, and then like it just doesn't go that way.
I don't look at that at all. I'm like, fuck, I have to get through like so many fucking wounds of T7.
Yeah. There's so much on the board, and they're -1 to hit, which for like Knights players, -1 to hit is a big thing.
Yeah.
After the loss of odds abilities, there's no like, oh, I get a 2-up. No, you're just on 4s. You're missing half of your shots. You're barely wounding them. It's a rough time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see.
But it's kind of what Dave said. The only thing that balances that is the cost of the unit. Those are $60 a piece for each one of those chicken walkers.
Oh, you're talking about like actual cost, like money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
$1 per point. AdMech has got to be the biggest chat army in the game right now.
Yeah. Most parties have the money to afford that kind of chicken walker list.
Yeah. Since that army came out, it's been the big dollar army across the board. But yeah, he played against.
You only see those armies on TTS, man. No, nobody plays that in real life, dude.
They absolutely do. David did. He crushed it. But yeah, hey, besides that, David played
it for a while too.
Yeah, David played a Space Marine army. It's obvious what he did there. He obviously overwhelmed the board. Was able to knock out a lot of stuff with those 2 damage in the last cannons. Then he played Votan. I would have loved to. I didn't actually pull the Votan list up, and that's on me. I would have loved to seen it. Grav eats the fuck out of those, so it would have been cool to see how much Grav he was actually running. Compared to if he shifted with the new points changes. So good job again, David. You fucking crushed it over at Dragon Slayer, man. All right, so
good job, David.
We're going to rock into our next event, man. We have the TGP Heartbreak Hoedown. This was going to be in Abilene, Texas, and it was a 12-man event. So we only had one winner here. There were no like across-the-board ties. And it was Mr. Wyatt, and I'm going to butcher your last name. Polishak, though. Polishak? Either Polishak or Polshak. My last name's terrible, so I feel you on that one. It's very hard to pronounce. But hey, so Wyatt ran Custodes, and this is another kind of... I don't know if everybody thinks it's as big of the boogeyman that Dark Elder was going to be, but I'm seeing it all over the place. Custodes doing really well. He came in. He just called it Custodes 2K was the name of his list. We had a Blade Champion with the Veiled Blade, and that makes him an extra beast in melee, and then a once-a-game additional OPSEC. Looking at a lot of these enhancements for Custodes, it's kind of cool because you just have that once per battle. Bam, I'm going to do something fucking extra and cool. We had a Shield Captain with Ceaseless Hunter. So he's able to fall back, shoot, and charge for the unit that he's with, which can be really, really helpful when you're running an elitist army like Custodes, because you never have to be tied down. And then a once per battle movement ability as well, a reactive move. We had Trajan. I haven't seen a Custodes list, I feel like, in 2 to 3 years without Trajan. If they exist, let me know. He's just such a monster and so helpful to that army. Then we have Custodian Guard. We have 5 with spears. We have some more Custodian Guard. One of them has a shield and a blade, just to make them a little bit more defensive, so you can tank some of those wounds on that shield. And then we have a squad of 2 Alaris Custodians with spears, 2 more. So 3 of those squads, 3 Alaris Custodians with spears, and then a Custodian Warden squad with spears, and a Telemon. Man, talk about a beefy elitist list. What are our thoughts, guys?
Hey, I like that he brought the Telemon. You're not seeing that too much these days. And with the Storm Cannon loadout, it gives him a little bit of like elite anti-infantry that maybe he wouldn't normally have. So I thought that was kind of a nice touch. Other than that, it kind of looks to me like a pretty similar list to what's floating around out there and doing pretty well, especially at the upper mid tables.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that 5-man Warden unit, you're going to see that again, can be really tough to deal with. And they've got that once per game Feel No Pain where, you get a turn to protect them a little bit, and then they're just going to smash into you. And they're probably going to have at least 4 of them left alive when they do.
Yeah.
And, also, once per game, they can shoot twice, and they do damage too off of their little bolters. So that's real bad against things like armigers.
Yeah.
But I like the 3x2 Alaris units as well. Mm-hmm. Gives him a little bit more freedom to move around the board and kind of spread out a little bit.
I think it actually allows him to do one of the things Custode's struggling, which is score.
Yeah, exactly.
And it allows him to actually take fixed. Custodes are one of those few armies that fixed. I know I just said I don't like fixed, but fixed can work really well by doing behind enemy lines and teleport homers, just because zoning out just small squads like that or singular dudes is really hard.
Yeah, this is one of those lists. If you roll out of 4+ saves, it's real tough to beat.
Oh yeah, it's impossible. You can't beat it. Yeah, especially with the change in the mortal wound output by Eldar. It's. I'm not surprised to see more custodes, especially with the nerfs as well that Eldar have taken across the board. I'm not surprised to see custodes because you really don't even see any more. Whatchamacallit? The -2 and no advance units anymore.
Oh,
the Shadow Weavers.
Oh, the Sagittarius. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Right? Am I saying that right? The tank, Nick. What's
Night
the tank?
Spinners?
Night Spinners. Man, I'm dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have Shadow Weavers on them. Friggin' Night Spinners. Jeez, it took us a long while to get there. Yeah.
Well, you don't play Eldar, so.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, you got Trajan. You've got built-in anti-Satan tech, like that everybody's going to have. And with a 2-up save in today's, terrain setups with the way cover works, you're going to get up the board with these units. So at some point, you've got to have some kind of tech to deal with these guys, and it's kind of like not the tech that everybody's teching for. It's kind of like an anti-meta pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool
I would agree with that. Yeah. So he played GSC. That's an interesting list. Just I would love to see it. If GSC have enough of the demo charges, they can devastate elitist armies. Imperial
Even
Knights.
just those acolyte units can do a number against these guys too.
Oh yeah, with just the seismic cannons.
The shot output that they have, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a gun line. So good win in there. Imperial Knights. I think Imperial Knights is a hard matchup sometimes for Custodes, just because you don't have the damage to deal so much anti-tank. Aaron says no as the Knights player.
No, this just goes in real hard into Knights actually. With the Custodian Guard shooting twice and their combat output, they're killing armigers left and right. This is a really tough list, and Trajan is gonna murder anything, including a Warhound Titan. I've seen that happen a couple times.
Yeah, if you bring a Warhound Titan.
Not only that. The units have Vexilis, so they're just going to out OC Knights anyways.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
This is a real bad list to run into if you're playing Knights, right, Brandon?
Yeah. I think the only thing that you're trying to do, maybe if you've got a big knight with the Power Fist, a Canis Rex or an Errant, maybe you're trying to get in there and melee to do as much as you can before they kill your knight. If I've got a knight on maybe 5 wounds left, I'll charge them in to try and kill some Custodes on the way out. But it'll never be a fair trade. It'll always be a trade in their favor.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, and then the other one that he played was a mirror match, which was more Custodes. It was a little bit different of a list, but man, I could only imagine the slugfest that was, because it's 2 pretty melee-heavy armies just obviously having to go at it because they want those mid-ground or midfield objectives. So
Trajan on Trajan.
Yeah. Well, hey, good job, Wyatt.
He was bad at 180 points.
Yeah. Good job, Wyatt, at that TGP Heartbreak Hoedown, man. That was a solid win. All right.
Strong work.
Next one we saved the best-ish for the middle. Our big win for the weekend at the 22-man event. Before he dies over there from Nurgle's Rot is our winner, Brandon Lucio, man. Hey, strong work.
I'm a leader.
Hey, man, cheers to that. And
I wouldn't disagree.
Our second place was Bryant Wynn, and then our third place, another undefeated because it was such a big event, is Joseph Snyder. So let's go into Brandon's list, man. Brandon, what'd you bring, dude?
All right, well, we'll start with the name, man, because the name says it all. Big Knights good again? Question mark.
Yep.
What?
Turns out the answer is maybe.
Yeah, no, that was the name of his list.
Yes, the name of my list is Big Knights good again? Question mark. So the start of the list is, again, like I said earlier, it's Canis Rex. Canis Rex at the point cost, it's too easy to not take him.
Yeah.
He hits on 2, he explodes on 5s and 6s, with the last impulsor being 2 different profiles. I mean, strength 14, AP, I think it's 2 or 3, I can't remember off the top of my head, 4 damage. He's, I'd say, more effective than the last cannon. at that point. Definitely a higher strength. Definitely more consistent than a D6 damage. And then that melee. You get that strength 20 at 5 attacks at AP 2 or 3. I think it's 3 on the big hits at 9 damage apiece.
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that.
On 5.
You're putting something in the ground. Like Canis Rex will put something in the ground in melee. Even if he goes second, he will put you in the ground. You follow
that's a reliable tank shock too.
Oh, every time. Every time.
I hate it. It is the most reliable tank shock right now. It's stupid. Yeah. It's so good.
And again, that's why I take 2 of them. The second part of that list is the Knight Errant with a Power Fist. Again, another that's 22 for tank shock, easy. Now the Knight Errant was an interesting one. He is, I believe, before modifications, 405 or 410.
Yeah,
which is the second cheapest knight in the entire game right now. And I get a Melta Cannon for it. The thermal cannon makes it worth it. Now he's an interesting one. He is actually my teleporter. I give him Mysterious Guardian. He is what I teched out for anti-Catan.
Okay.
Because you know what you don't cut in half is Melta 6.
Sound familiar?
Indeed.
Right. So you get 2d3 plus blast. You don't really get blast on Catans, but helpful for other units.
You can blast a Catan. Fuck it, dude. Just fucking blast him.
Right. AP4 D6 with 6 Melta.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 7 damage minimum per failed save. It's nasty.
Have you run into Catans yet? Saving half of those though with their Feel No Pains.
Not yet. So this is actually the first weekend I've run this list. This was my first outing with the list. Was on Saturday, and it didn't turn out well. I've seen what Catans do. I know they're nasty. I know it hurts.
Yeah.
That's why that is my anti-Catan unit. If I can make it happen, and then again, you go in with the Power Fist. Let's say you get 2 wounds off. That's 18 divided by 2. You're still looking at another 10 plus wounds that they have to feel no pain. So you're doing something. You're trying to do something.
No, I think it works, man. It's one of the few options you have to reliably deal with Catans.
Yes, and the second part of that is it can be a bit of a bait and switch. You see that big Melta, that big Power Fist. You're like, all right, I don't necessarily want to go near that. Well, that's cool and all until he teleports across the board and is where he wants to be anyways. Especially against things like Guard. Like, Basilisk, -2 movement, or 3 movement, I think is what it is, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a problem for Knights. Well, when a Knight Errant shows up in your backfield and your Basilisk are just kind of looking at him, he's a problem.
That Basilisk only works on infantry, I think, but I think Night Spinners work on everything.
The Night Spinners are the ones that
I'll talk about that here in a second, and why that didn't work for him either. Because I took the guy took Night Spinners in the 3rd round.
Yeah. So what else we have in list? We've got
2 more Crusaders.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 Crusaders. One Crusader, just standard battle cannon, whatever. He's my backline. He's there just to shoot, kill infantry, whatever. The other one's a melter gun, the thermal cannon, with sticky objectives. So he is.
And they all have that Avenger Gatling cannon too, right?
Oh yeah, man. You got to have it. I mean, it's mandatory. Cool. You're gonna have it anyways.
Yeah.
But it's good to have. And with sticky objectives, I start him right in front of cover on the home objective, sticky it off the rip, and then immediately start moving to other objectives with him.
That's what that banner does?
Yeah, it's sticky objectives for Imperial Knights.
Cool. That's super good.
Yeah. And then you ended up with 1 Inquisitorial Henchman, because, cheat points, and 2 Assassins, the Eversor and the Calendus.
Okay.
Honestly, if you're running Imperium, you're not taking a Calendus, you're not playing Imperium right. It's too good not to take.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Some lists don't need it, but the ones that don't, definitely that is that auto take unit. Let's talk about some of your opponents, man. So we got, I think your first game, if I'm reading, was your first game GSC or was it Eldar?
It was GSC. So first was GSC, second Space Marines, third was Eldar.
Okay, how'd you do in the GSC?
Not too bad. I didn't score max, but that's because I held back turns 1 and 2 for a little bit. He didn't have a lot of anti-tank, but what he did have is, I think it's called Abominations or something like that. They're the guys with their GSC with hammers.
Yep.
Abominants. Yeah.
Abominants, yes. He had 2 squads of those. Once those were all gone, I just ran over him. But I needed to make sure they were gone, so I wasn't throwing away an Imperial Knight trying to kill them.
Okay, so no demo charges coming in too badly?
No, I don't think he ever demo charged me.
Oh shit.
Okay. Yeah, no, I stayed away from him as long as I could. Now this guy, he did tell me, he's like, look, he's like, I'm not bringing optimized. He's like, it's what I have painted. So I was like, okay. So I don't take it as like oh man, I'm gonna do good against GSC every time. I just think with this particular gentleman, he just didn't have enough ready to play to maybe take on that kind of.
I mean, you still did really well getting the 90 points, man. It doesn't like, even people playing non-optimized lists. He didn't show up to the RTT to lose. He's still trying to beat your ass. Like,
I know, absolutely. Like, I give him the credit because even though he was getting his butt kicked every round, he stayed in there. He didn't quit early. He went the full 5 rounds with me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and that was Gavin. That was Gavin Eckhart. So shout out to him, man. Good job for fucking sticking it out and trying to crush his soul. All right, so the next one we have, you played Dark Angels. How'd that go?
Man, that was a close one.
Okay,
that was a close one.
Dark Angels are no joke.
Yeah. So this is.
You got an 85. Do you remember his score?
I mean, if I could look it up on BCP right now, but I'd have to get off the camera for it.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it then.
I think it was another close game. What ultimately did it for him was, so they're playing pre changes, so he still has Dark Knights or Deathwing Knights, what they're called, in a 10-man brick, and they're disgusting. Like they were a problem, but all I had to do was move around them. They don't move fast enough to be that big of an issue. And because we were playing Sides of Power, there's one thing about my list that everything in my list, with the exception of the henchman, is a character. Every objective I'm on is empowered. That I was reeking in the points on that mission.
That's super helpful.
He kept leaving objectives. That's ultimately what it did for him. There was, I think, the first 2 or 3 rounds he was on one objective in his home field, and that was it. That and then just the ability to dance around his Deathwing Knights and not have to worry about them as much was ultimately what did it. But it's a good player. It's somebody I've played before. He is a solid player. I think just the mission rules just didn't go in his favor that time. Yeah. And I think having to deal with 4 big knights may have thrown him off a bit.
Yeah, I mean that happens sometimes where the mission just favors one side compared to the other. But I mean, it sounds like you played it well. Like being able to push forward and actually secure those sites of power, like right at the beginning of the game, is exactly what you needed to do. So strong work, man. And then the Eldar player, I want to hear about this one. So what do we do there?
Oh, so this guy was fun. Now, you should be able to see his list. I'm not sure if you can see it, but he kind of took 2 of everything.
Yep.
2 Night Spinners, 2 Walkers, 2 of just kind of everything.
It was honestly, it was a lot of Bright Lances too. I was really surprised because he had 2 Hornets. Yeah. He had Bright Lances all over the place.
Yeah, I think his downside there was 2 things. The first one is he held his Avatar King back 1 turn, and I think that one turn may have cost him. The second part is that with the terrain we were using, there was a large L in the corner, and he parking lotted those 2 Falcons with those 2 Night Spinners in that corner. So I went first. I didn't do much. I just kind of moved up, did whatever. His turn 1 came around. He did a little bit of movement reduction, whatever. At the end of his turn 1, that Knight Errant teleported 9 inches away from those Night Spinners and those Falcons.
Surprise.
That'll do it, yeah.
And so I said, hey, man, your tank's in the corner. Do they have invuln saves? He goes, no. All right, what are their saves? 3s.
Uh-oh.
Perfect. Awesome.
Hate to see it. I don't
think I ever rolled a damage roll because he would fail a minimum of 2 saves. So cool, man, it's a minimum of 14 damage. They're dead. Like, I'm not even going to worry about rolling the D6. We know factually they're gone.
Yeah. Damn. Honestly, I'm super surprised he didn't reserve the Avatar Arcane. Like, that's the perfect matchup to be like, hey, I'm going to reserve it. Here's a 6 fate dice. I need a 1 to not fail my charge because it's +1 to charge.
Yeah. So I got a great story for that one, but we'll get there in a second.
Okay.
So his round 2, he fires all of his Bright Lances with the exception of the one I think I killed a Night Spinner first because the Errant's ability allows him to hit on 2s if it's the closest unit.
Okay.
So he fires all 10 Bright Lances at me. I rotate. I survive with 12 wounds. I get another round of shooting. Then his round 3, he does it with the remaining Bright Lances. I survive on 2 wounds.
No.
Dude,
do you think if it was pre-slate where he could have chosen some of those damage, that would have been a little different, or?
So he actually did. I think in one of them he actually gave me a flat 8 damage.
Damn.
But I
just roll 4 ups.
The field of pains came in clutch. They don't always, but they came in clutch.
Yeah, you were the custode knight player, dude.
Right. So eventually Aaron goes down, but not until after he clears the tanks out, which is fine with me. The greatest moment, I think, was Canis Rex, man. Again, Canis Rex is a monster. The Avatar of Cain charged Canis Rex.
Ooh.
That is a bad time, right?
Yeah.
It's AP4. I don't save it. He killed him. He killed Canis Rex instantly. 2 CP, I'm fighting on death.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's -1 to hit. So Canis Rex hits on 3s, explodes on 5s and 6s. I'm doing heavy hits. I explode. I think of the 5 attacks, I exploded 3 of them. So 8 attacks coming in. I killed the Avatar of Cain in the fight back.
Well, because they don't. Yeah, it's it sounds like you were starting to deplete a lot of his stuff. So that might have been like, hey, if I don't fucking do this, then I'm not doing much anyways with my Avatar.
Right.
But Canis Rex only needs 3 to go through. Like,
right.
That is not much at all.
I mean, without the Night Spinners, you're playing a 1,500 point list at that point. So you can't just be like trading avatars away.
Yeah, the Night Spinners are so expensive now; it's crazy.
So where the story gets, and I think it's more funny than anything, is I damage him. He does all the halves, all that. He's got 6 wounds remaining. I roll my D6. Canis Rex explodes. I roll my D6 again. 6 wounds. So with the fight back and with the explosions, the Avatar of Cain dies.
Damn.
Trade off. Sir Hector gets out and takes the objective anyways.
Hey, that's his job, man. That's what he does.
My favorite part about Canis, yeah.
We just threw away hundreds of points of our armies. And my one guy is just going to hop out now, and it's my objective anyways.
Hell yeah.
So it was fantastic. But yeah, after the Avatar went down, after the Night Spinners and the Falcons were dead, he basically just had a couple of his walkers. The bikes were cleared off immediately. Like they're T3, T4. Yeah. I've got 2 Crusader Avenger Gatling cannons. They were gone pretty quickly.
Yeah, once you clear those bikes too, you're taking away his ability to score because did he take fixed? Or he might have taken bring it down.
I don't remember if he took fixed. I think he did take fixed. He could bring it down. And I think deploy.
Yeah, bring it down's a pretty solid choice, but that deploy, his options go away once you start losing those units because he, like you said, he really did just bring like 2 of everything, which was cool to see. But that's crazy. That's a good game.
Yeah, against Knights is pretty rough with Eldaria because when you poke your head out, you're gonna get deleted. So that's an uphill battle.
I took Bring It Down and I think deploy against him because of the way he parking lotted his stuff. Once the walkers moved up, once the Avatar King moved up, his backfield was exposed. So round 2, dropped the Calidus. Round 3, the Eversor, and the rest was history.
Damn.
So I scored 14 out of the 19 out of the 20 points. I think 1 walker survived. But I wasn't worried about it because I had secured enough points. It was a 6-point game, so it was close.
Goddamn.
It was a very close for us. But yeah, I think the ace move right there was the Errant teleporting over there and just absolutely getting rid of that backfield.
Damn. Well, I like it, man. I like to see it. Good job. All right.
I like the list, Brandon. It's an interesting take. You got Canis and the Errant, and I run the Errant the same way that you do. But taking the 2 Crusaders versus a bunch of Armigers, I haven't seen that yet, and it's an interesting stat check.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Bravo. Hey, I've got something to show you though, Brandon.
What's that?
Just for the record.
Oh, I know. But you see the difference between a good Knights player and a real Knights player.
2023.
When get bad, you keep playing them.
Ooh, damn! Shots fired. I love it.
Wait! What did you just say?
He said you meta jumped.
I said the difference between a good Knights player and a real Knights player is we don't change teams after a nerf.
The guy that played Chaos Knights, right?
I played him early in the edition.
You did, didn't you?
But before the nerf. Before the nerf,
Brandon, I forgive you.
You switched over to Grey Knights, didn't you?
They're still Knights.
Technically correct. Technically correct.
When you get 2 of the goats on the same chat, somebody's just gonna try and dick measure a little bit.
I love you, little bro.
No Aaron, man.
We'll see at this TCC who wins the best Knights.
All right. Well, if I can leave my deployment zone, we'll do it.
Hell yeah. Hey, it happens, man. Hey, all right. So, great explanation for all your games, man. Once again, dude, fucking just good job for crushing this weekend, man. You were busy this weekend. You did 2 events, so strong fucking work. Let's rip into Bryant's list, man. So, Bryant ran Adeptus Custodes, and a lot of times with Adeptus Custodes, you're going to see a lot of the same units because they don't have that big of a codex. So we've got a Blade Champion again. Same thing, the Veiled Blade. Or Veiled Blade. Why do I always say veiled? Like it's like they're eating some veal. Then we have a shield captain in Terminator armor with the Ceaseless Hunter. Trajan, Prosecutors. So that's a good squad there. That's just cheap points that they kind of need sometimes to help them out. We have a Alaris squad with that's an Alaris squad. Alaris Custodes with spears and the grenade launchers. That's a big Terminator squad. We have one warden, two wardens, both of them kitted out with the spears and the Vexilla. We have a Venatari squad. Really like the Venatari. Two of those. And then one squad of Vigilators, two squads of Vigilators, and a Calidus. So, looking at this list, what are our thoughts, guys?
Well, you remember that around. That's different.
Remember that really tough Warden squad I was telling you about?
Yep.
Well, now there's two of them.
Yeah.
And a huge unit of Alaris Terminators. It's a tough army. This guy has like basically 4 units in his army, but every single one of them is just gonna stack bodies if anything gets close to it.
No, I would 100% agree with that.
I think part of what's going on with this list is Bryant. I've seen him play Admech before, and he likes playing big, tanky, heavy infantry list, and he's definitely got that here. It doesn't surprise me at all to see him playing this, and this could be a really tough one to chew through. So
yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that like fits his play style, because I tell people a lot of times that when they're like making a list, they need to set it on the table and determine how it works with their play style. Like, I prefer melee armies. I love, even though I'm playing a shooting army right now, I'll charge them in all the time. Like, I absolutely love to do it. Don't look at me. I do. I just played
True
Patrick
story.
today, and those grab hammers are so good at damage 3 for their character. But
all one of them.
Yeah, hey, it crushes it. It killed Gazgold. But if he's used to playing those big bricks, and he's been doing that for a while now, he plays another army that has those big bricks. It's got. I think that he is playing for like worrisome things, but then everything else that he has in that list is just designed to score. And the Venatari don't fuck around either. Like that's a 200-point unit. They're only 50 points less than those wardens, and they're actually pretty fucking durable too, just because everything Custodes is. So I really like it, and I'm not surprised he did well with that, especially if that's his play style. So he played Dark Angels, Astra Militarum, and then Space Wolves.
Who did he lose to?
I think he didn't lose to anybody. He went undefeated.
Yeah. Oh, he was undefeated.
Okay. Yeah, he had 3 undefeated.
Yeah,
he came down to 8 points.
Everybody was undefeated.
So his round 3, it was John. I talked to John afterwards, man. And Space Wolves, dude. Space Wolves love melee.
Yep.
And he's running Stormlance, which means he's moving 30 inches or something like that with those Thunderwolf cavalry. John was like, he's a good player, bad time. Just had a bad time against that matchup. Because whatever Space Wolves are doing, other than moving fast, Custodians are doing it better.
Yeah, I don't think that they have
Custodians in melee either.
Yeah, Custodes melee is absolutely bonkers. Math down, it does better than almost anything else, actually, I think. Maybe not points down, but just the amount of dice that they throw, hitting on 2s, wounding most things on 3s. It's
and
fucking strong.
They're just going to see you come in, and they're going to be like, oh, sorry, I fight first.
I think the issue, too, that Space Wolves have is they don't have the AP to follow it through, to break them to anything less than a 3-up a lot of times, and that's going to hurt as well.
Well, I think, I almost want to say if you give Thunderwolf Cavalry the actual Thunderhammers back with dev wounds, it would make a difference.
Yeah, that's
but against Custodians, with those dev wound field-up pains, it wouldn't matter.
Yep.
No, this is just a bad matchup for Space Wolves. The Custodians do everything that they do, but a lot harder.
Yeah. And they want you to come to them, and that's exactly what Space Wolves are going to do. They're going to come to you.
Yeah, I think actually maybe even one of his hardest matchup was playing the Astra Militarum, and I didn't look at that list, which I should have. But sometimes Astra Militarum can score so well, and they're shooting. It's just so much damage 2, damage 3 that I'm surprised it didn't eat through those Custodes a little bit. because you just target everything to one squad at a time and then just keep moving down that line. And like Nick said, he only has 4 big units. So, I don't know. He obviously he did a really good job.
I'd look at the Militarum list, but William, you didn't upload it, man. We can't see it.
Oh, shucks.
Shame.
All right. Well, hey, man. Good job to Bryant, man. You obviously did really good, man. So strong work. I'm excited to see all these custodes. I love playing against custodes, so I'm excited to see them. And then our last one from this event was Joseph Snyder. He was playing Black Templars. So this list, we have the Firestorm Assault Force. So getting that advance and shoot everywhere, which is really good. You called it Firebenders. I love these names you guys come up with. I absolutely love fucking all of them. Firebenders is sick. Avatar, that new movie is about to come out, so I'm or not the new movie, the show. So that's awesome. He had a biologist with the Forged in Battle, Captain Gravis Armor, Hellbrick, you just have to bring him even with the points increase. A lieutenant with the Champion of Humanity. Then we have the Emperor's Champion. An Impulsor for that free multi-melta, which is super good. An Aggressor Squad with Flamestorm Gauntlets, just to put out a shit ton of fucking fire because they're firebenders. An Eradicator, big Eradicator Squad. I like seeing that. It's that full 6-man. A Land Raider Crusader, a Land Raider Redeemer, and then 2 Sword Brethren squads. One of them smaller. The other one looks like that 10-man. And then a Scout Squad and a Calidus, obviously, for scoring. So what are our thoughts here, guys?
Well, the Sword Brethren scare the shit out of me.
I love this list. So many cool choices here. I mean, right off the bat, Firestorm.
Oh, yeah.
Super cool. That means he's going to be playing around these big transports, the 2 landers and the Impulsor, doing combat disembarks, combat embarks. And he's got tools for everything here. He's got the Lieutenant with the Ignore Mod enhancement, so you can throw those on Sword Brethren, and all of a sudden they're killing Satan.
Yep.
With that +1 to wound. Really cool list. High level. I think this one takes a big brain to play, but man, this is a unique list.
I would agree with that. It turns something that's relatively slow, like that Crusader, into something that can be fast and deliver those Blade Guard right down your opponent's throat. So that's super good.
He's a really good player. I think the last 3 to 4 tournaments that I've played that he's been there, he's gone 3-0.
Yeah.
Whether with this or with his Imperial Fist that he was using for a little bit, he is a good player. Space Marines is definitely his jam.
Nice.
So he knows what he's doing. Experimented.
Dude, I like to see it. And it's funny that you say Space Marines are his jam, because 2 of his players, so he played Ultramarines, so he probably went into that being like, I already know how to tear my opponent up, and obviously piloted this super well into it. And like I said, with the speed that he has with being in that Firestorm and being able to do some of those cheeky things, that's awesome. And then he played Orcs. I don't know. I think that was maybe one of his harder matchups, is into that Orcs player. Where did he score? And that was actually his lowest score. He scored 70 points. He had an 82, a 70, and an 80. So yeah, that was probably his lowest one. Just because sometimes Orcs, they can trade really well into other armies that want to have melee units like those Sword Brethren. So that's super good.
Round 3 being Purge of the Foe, he was probably going to have a hard time gaining that, depending on what that Orcs had.
Well, that was his round 2. His round 3 ended up being Dark Angels. Yeah, so he played another Space Marine. So he probably went into that too, just like, man, I already know. I know you. You maybe don't know all of me because I'm playing something like Nick said that's a super, like, big brained. Like, let's go at it, man. So strong work there, Joseph. Good job, man. Any save rounds on that list, guys?
He did bleed a lot of points, like we were just talking about. But and I think a lot of that maybe comes from that transport play. You're kind of jumping in, jumping out of the transports, which means you don't have a lot of OC on those objectives.
Yeah.
And you really can't afford to just be sending a 6-man Eradicator squad out to go, to investigate signals or anything. So one of the hard parts about this list, I think, is maybe scoring. But like I said, love it. It's a cool list.
I would agree with that. I think it probably does pretty well on primaries, but I think you suffer on the secondaries with all those big units. There's just not a lot of action monkeys running around, but scary for sure. I wouldn't want to play against it.
No.
Good job.
What chapter was he running?
Templars.
Templars.
Firestorm Templars.
Yeah. See, the Sword Brethren are too much to give up. So I was gonna say, you take something like I would say it's Adrax or Vulcan with Salamanders. Vulcan, you point to an objective. Once he's on it, he's 10 OC. You take Adrax, he cuts the OC in half. So if you're trying to take primaries, that's where you do it. But Sword Brethren, I don't think it's not worth giving up. Sword Brethren, they're too good.
I love now seeing with like Space Marines that like you have the Black Templars playing the Salamander build or something like that, or like the Iron Hands playing the fucking like Ultramarines
Blood
build.
Angels.
Yeah, I mean there's no Blood Angels build. Don't get shocked there. There's no like strict melee thing right now. But it's really cool to see a lot of these armies just like play different builds and see how it works with them, and obviously it did. So, hey, good job, Joseph, man. Strong work. All right, so that ends the Battleground Monthly. Once again, Brandon, you won it, man. Good job. Crushed it. It's a strong work, bro.
Appreciate it, guys.
Next one, and we only have 2 left. Okay. So next one is going to be... Do we really only have 2 left? This and the Forge. Okay, cool. So the next one is going to be the Navigator February. This was in Tyler, Texas. It was an 8-man event, and we only had 1 undefeated, which was my good acquaintance friend, Christian Alesi, man. He was running AdMech. Yeah, dude, Christian crushed it, man. I love that Team Zero Comp, who's predominantly a California team, has their one lone survivor in the Lone Star State, and it is Christian, and he continues to represent them super well. So he played AdMech, and let's go into his list. And his list is actually completely different than David's, which does not surprise me.
It's like the complete opposite.
Yeah, David just runs so much fun shit that he just enjoys playing. So he named his list 40. I'm not sure if that was just he wanted to call it 40, or maybe there's like 40 things in it. But there's a lot in it. So he has a Skitarii Marshal with Battlesphere Uplink. He has a Marshal again with the Veiled Hunter. And then he has a Marshal just by itself. We're looking at 1 squad of Vanguard, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squads of Vanguard. Each have 10 dudes in them. So that is just 60 dudes right off the bat that says, hey, enjoy eating through this. He had 1, 2, I think, Dune Riders. Yep. And then he had we got into some cool stuff. He had 2 squads of the Sky Stalkers, and then 3 squads of Sterilizers, 1 squad of Infiltrators, and then 1, 2, 3 Dragoons with those Taser Lances, probably for anti-walker for Knights. And then he ended this off with no Calidus Assassin, and instead he had the Lord Inquisitor Draxus. So right off the bat with this list, this is actually very similar to a list that I played at LVO. It scores. That list fucks around and scores a metric shit ton. Its damage output is there a little bit.
The number 40 is the number of secondary points that he scores per game with deploy, teleport, homers, and behind enemy lines, most likely. That's probably where that comes from.
I love it, and I believe it because he has units all over that can do both of those. So what are our thoughts, guys?
I like it, man. Probably a really frustrating one to play against because there's little dudes running around everywhere, and a lot of them fly. And he's got the Dragoons that we know and love that do in walkers, Brandon. I can see you sweating a little bit just looking at that. I do like the fact that there's no Calidus in there. I like the fact that they brought Draxus. I think that's an underutilized data sheet out there that I think we're probably going to see more and more. But Christian's usually pretty good about coming up with a game plan and building a list around it. And, I love the guy, but I hate playing against that dude because he sticks to the plan and it usually works.
Yeah, he is very meticulous. Like when he plays.
I mean, it's a little bit of a different type of meat in this army, but it is still meat. I mean, we're talking about over 100 infantry bodies, and still 9 chickens. So,
yep,
yeah,
and it's all moving very quickly. It's going to be everywhere, doing everything all the time. Doesn't care what you're doing almost at all.
And you know what? It's one of the only AdMech lists I've seen in a while where you can't take fixed secondaries against it and smash it. Like this would be a frustrating one to play against.
Yeah, no, yeah. When I played this similar list to it, I cannot express enough. Like it scored so well. Like it was almost impossible to keep my opponent off of secondaries, and because of that, they just kind of gotta survive the game a little bit, and then they're going to pick up those primaries. So it's no surprise to me that he did really well at this event. I'm excited to see it possibly in a bigger event and see how he pilots it. So we played up against Space Wolves, Imperial Knights, and then Custodes. And like we just said, I think we hit it on all three of those. I think maybe possibly, depending on the Space Wolves build, might have been his hardest matchup. But he actually scored the least against Imperial Knights, but just the Space Wolves, because they can peak some really, really big damage spikes depending on the build that they actually did with like just chewing through those infantry. So, and then the Imperial Knights, I don't know.
A lot of it's OC2. So I mean, this army says you don't get to score primaries this game.
Kind of. You just gotta kill it off the objective.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so his Space Wolves opponent scored 60 points, and that was the highest score of any of his opponents.
I'm not surprised by that because I think the Space Wolves killed him off objectives. Like the Imperial Knights, he just probably sat there and was like, "Cool, you're not going to kill 100 bodies plus bodies. Like, enjoy."
Yeah. He swarms them. You have to have another high model count army to try and counteract that.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to have units that you can go, okay, this unit's going to go here, that one's going to go there, and then the rest of my army's still moving forward. But if you don't have those extra spare units to go and address those ones in the corners, it's not going to matter.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So
I would love to see Grey Knights into this list. I think that would be a really interesting matchup.
Why? Like,
I don't know. I think you'd be teleporting, assaulting into your own deployment zone.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be anywhere.
Yeah, I think you get choked off in your movement, but toe to toe, it gets interesting.
You might have to go first, right? You need to be able to get and block him out because once he spreads out, he screens you.
No, if he was doing Grey Knights, you'd want to go second just so you can. It's the same thing with Necron's Hypercrypt. They do better in second because you get all those immediate across the board moves. So gotcha. I think actually Christian probably is making this list to deal with things like Hypercrypt because you're able to move block them so effectively. So I'm super excited to see how this list continues to work out, man. Good job, Christian. You crushed it, dude. So strong work there when you were at your Navigator RTT. And we are at our last event for the weekend. Woo! All 7. And this is the Forge February RTTs. This was in Houston, Texas. And we have our number 1 guy is Sean Berry. And then our number 2 is Kevon Rand. And then we have our number 3, which is Tim Frisbee. So let's rock into Sean's list. Sean was running Grey Knights. Aaron, you finally have something to give us some intel about, man. What's going on with this Grey Knights list? So,
my time has come.
Yeah,
and not only do I know Grey Knights, but I know Sean too. I played against him and kind of know what his style is. And, nothing in this list really surprises me. On an interesting note, Kevin Rand, who is second place, also usually plays Grey Knights, but he brought Death Guard this time. So
no shit.
Sean, good job on keeping it real. So his list, he took Caldor Drago with the newly corrected Deep Strike verbiage for his +2 to charge, or +3, sorry, which is big. He had the Grandmaster and Nemesis Dread Knight armor, which is a big, big favorite of mine. Because this guy in combat is going to reroll hits, he's going to reroll wounds, and he's going to reroll damage against monsters and vehicles.
Yep.
He's got the Great Hammer, which hits like a truck, and it's D6 +1. So rerolling the damage on that gets real bad real fast. I can tell you from experience, I've been running this. I do it a little bit different way. I usually do the +1 to charge, and he did the Sigil of Exigence, which is kind of a defensive move. If he gets shot at, he can pick the model up. But, man, this thing will kill just about any vehicle in combat, including Big Knights. He's real nasty.
No shit.
Yes, and he can teleport up and down, up and down, up and down, and he's a real pain. I love him. So good job on that one, Sean. I like the decisions to take him. A lot of people right now are looking at Dread Knight spam, and they're taking more than one. But the key is only one of these guys can reroll everything per turn. So I think one is the perfect number. He's got a Brotherhood Terminator squad. That's a real strong take. It's a big, beefy one. That's kind of his forte, as he likes to run that. And I'm willing to bet that Drago was in that unit. He's got another Brotherhood squad, 5-man squad. He's got a strike squad, which is kind of cool because it's got a scout move and sticky obsec. He took interceptors, which I think are a real strong take. I like playing those as well. They're basically jump pack dudes without jump packs, but one of the neat things that they can do is after they shoot, they can move again another 6 inches. So real good about getting on objectives, real good about stealing stuff out from underneath folks. But the meat of this one is the 3 Dread Knights. So he kind of brought the Dread Knight spam, and they just got a lot better after this data slate. It is really amazing how little changes in a data sheet can make a big difference. And that Psy Cannon went from AP1 to AP2, and it ignores cover. So it went from being something that's usually going to, when you shoot at Terminators, they're going to be saving on a 3-up, a 2-up in cover. It went from that to being a lot nastier. So he's picking up more heavy infantry.
That even changes Terminators, because most Terminators were armor of contempt. That changes that significantly.
Yes. Yeah, that one puts it on its head. And then the other thing that's really neat about the basic Dread Knights is they can fall back and shoot and charge. So you can't lock these guys up. So, yeah, I mean, just trying to deal with 3 of those, a lot of armies are just not going to be able to tech into that. They're gonna have real problems. And then, surprise, surprise, the Caliph Assassin.
Hell yeah.
What?
Just so you can have 4 units that you're picking up instead of only 3 at the end of your opponent's turn.
Yeah, so everything in his army is just redeploying the whole time.
Yeah, you're real frustrating. You're never going to put this army where you want it to be. It's always going to pop up in inconsiderate places, and he's got some units that can hurt you. So, again, it's funny. You probably could have showed me this list, and I could have probably told you who put it together. Sean is playing with his style, and that's probably why he did well.
Let me ask you something, Aaron. With those, the Grandmasters, the Dread Knights, are they vehicle keyword or walker keyword?
Both.
See, I think so. That's a concern, because with the reoccurring theme of these laser taser things, they move quick. Like they've got a quick movement. So even if you're teleporting around the board, if he's got enough of them, they've got the ability to catch up.
How do you I think one of the keys there is using rapid ingress is kind of one of the ways you counter that. But I don't think he played into any AdMech. That's a pretty tough game. I have actually played Grey Knights into David's list, and it's real tricky.
Okay. So they do pose a threat then.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at who he played. He played World Eaters. I think that World Eaters got hit kind of hard just because they're not able to res their Primarch anymore. Angron stays dead most games now.
Yep.
So that can hurt pretty bad. Then he played GSC. Depending on the GSC matchup, like that's just 2 armies that are just moving all around the board. And then he played
those Storm Bolters going to be clutch in that matchup.
Oh yeah, no, it's so much shooting that comes from them. I think that they have a good advantage over GSC just because they also can like positionally set up to delete all of their blips that they even try to spawn their dudes from. They're one of the few armies in the game that reliably is gonna nuke all the blips or force your opponent to put blips near other units where you may not always want them. And then the other one was Votann, which once again, Votann's win record this last weekend was not as good as I wanted it to be. Come on, Votann players, let's play more Grav, because I think Grav would have ate through. Yeah,
where are you at?
I was at a brunch festival, getting blackout drunk with somebody.
I have no recollection of any of that.
But yeah, no, honestly, looking at his list, especially with some of the stuff that Aaron said, it makes a lot of sense how he played this super well. Super good list design here. I really like seeing all these big units and shit like that. Like, and it obviously worked really well. That was really good. Any save rounds, guys?
Sean, I want you to come to Alamo.
Okay, Sean, go to Alamo. All right.
I want to see this list, and I want to play against it.
Hell yeah. So our next one is going to be Kevin Rand. So he ran a Death Guard list. And Nick, honestly, I'm going to let you take this one too. What do we got, Nick?
Really cool list, man. Really cool. The standout units for me are 2 Predator Annihilators. Death Guard Predator Annihilators. And I think this is really cool because we've got Morty's Ignore Mod Aura, which I think after Data Slate is just a money rule to have, is an Ignore Mod.
It is
rule.
so fucking good.
These Predator Annihilators are just going to like pick up Satans. Easy. Yeah. Super cool. And they're backed up by 3 Plagueburst Crawlers. Only 1 squad of Plague Marines with the Rhino and the Biologist Putrefier, which kind of makes sense. You're only doing the grenade thing once, maybe twice per battle round now. And then a big unit with Lord of Virulence and Terminators. So really cool post-Data Slate Death Guard list. I'm actually interested to see what you think about this, Lou.
Dude, so now that I am now technically a Death Guard player, even though I haven't played it, the Army at least once, I've been reading a lot on how to be a better Death Guard player, and I love this a lot, man. He's doing some things that I really like. The Putrefier, I think that's going to be an auto take, right? The Lord of
at least one.
Yeah, the Lord of Virulence, I love. So his buff that he gives to the Plagueburst Crawlers is just kind of like the icing on the cake for him, in my opinion. I think him, especially with that big unit of Death Shroud Terminators, not only do they look cool on the board, but him with them, they can actually hit pretty fucking hard. You just have to choose your targets really well. And Mortarion is obviously there to like buff that backfield. I played against the list the other day that did this with Death Guard, where Mortarion sat in the backfield buffing. I think he could have moved forward more, and I think now that Mortarion's buff got so fucking good, you can kind of just yeet him across the board with a lot of your other shit. Try to hide him as best as you can, while still buffing those units like the Predators and things like that. And then the Plague Marines, big squad there, Plague Marines. I really like it. That's where that Putrefier went to. And then I mean everything like synergizes for me. It kind of makes me want to get some Predator Annihilators. And one thing that I really like about this list is you don't see a Chaos Knight in there. It's one of the things that I've been playing around with. I'm looking at the points as I'm building my Death Guard list, and I'm like, fuck. Everybody else has Chaos Knights. Maybe they're fucking good, or maybe I'm just dumb, but I can't find a way to like fit it in, but still bring some of that Death Guard shit that I want to. And having the Predators kind of does that, especially if Mortarion's near them. Just so they can nuke whatever the fuck they want now, which is super great. So I love this list a lot.
I think those Predators do what those War Dogs that people are taking would normally do, but just a little bit better.
It's just different targets, man, is really what that comes down into.
And you know, Brigands saw a small hit on points on the Data Slate, and the Predator Annihilator is 130 points, man.
Yeah.
That's value.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I've played a lot of Death Guard players who play 2 KG with Morty, because he will die. To a lot of units, but if you play 2 KG with him, you're going to lose that game 100%. You need to be aggressive with him, threatening objectives, just being an overall menace. Because if your opponent spends 2 turns trying to kill Morty, they're not spending 2 turns killing all the rest of your army. That's actually winning you the game.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I think a lot of players are playing Morty kind of back, and I'd love to see how he actually did this, because he obviously did it well. He fucking did really well at the event.
Yeah, cool list. Very forward thinking, and I like the anti-Necron tech.
Yeah. So he played into Custodes, I think being able to shut off certain things with Mortarion and just those predators are fucking up Custodes so hard. It's wonderful. And Astra Militarum and Demons. So, Brandon, you got anything on this list? I think I heard you chime in for half a second. Or you might have been dying.
But, it's one of the things where I think Death Guard players need to realize, or remember, he's not a Titanic unit. So he doesn't get that once he toes in, towering effect. He is a big model, but ruins are obscuring. Obscuring is everywhere nowadays. You can hide Mortarion and move him up the board and still be a threat.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him being shot off the board from across the board because of how big he is.
Yeah.
Not like I do, but I can take those hits. Mortarion can move up the board. He can be a threat. Just don't leave him in the open.
Yep.
Like, if he's in the open and he's not getting any cover, yeah, you've done something wrong, or they've landed behind you with some kind of teleporting ability.
Yeah, and obviously he did something like that because he won those games. Like, exactly. He crushed it. So good job, Kevin, man. That was pretty friggin' good, dude. All right, and last list of the night is going to be Tim Frisbee. Tim, your list is phenomenal. I
love the detachment choice.
Yeah, so your detachment, it might be Turvagon, but I can't tell. Hey, so he played High Fleet Hydra. So he played friggin' Tyranids. Why am I not able to think Tyranids? He played Tyranids. His list consisted of a Termagon, 6x20 Termies. I can only assume that's Termagants. 3 10-man Neurogaunts. 2 Neurolictors, 1 Lictor, 3 Venoms, 3 Xanos.
Xanos.
Yeah.
I think that's Zoanthropes.
I think it is too.
Maybe.
1x10 Barb Gaunts and 1 Neurotyrant, 2 one-man Rippers, and then a Norn Emissary. I'm not going to lie. Every time I play against Tyranids, I kind of learn something new. So what are you guys' takes on this list?
So I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is an endless swarm list.
Okay.
Just because of the 160 guys who are on the table.
Yep, I 100% agree.
And I think Lou, you remember. Well, you might have been a little preoccupied, but at LVO, this is one of the lists that made it towards the end, made it to the past the shadow round.
Yep.
It's a classic stat check list, which at the same time is scoring like crazy no matter what you're doing to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
cool
I
agree. It is a very stat checky list, and it still has some damage output and some things to be really honestly afraid of. Like those Norn emissaries are not to be messed with. Neither is the Termagon, and sometimes just non-stop, never-ending horde is just too much for a lot of armies to handle. So
yeah. Well, that makes me think. In terms of large model count, right? This is not the first one we've talked about tonight. How do you think this fares into Christian's list with the mass amounts of AdMech?
Man, I wish they could have played each other so we could actually see player on player who's going to come out on top of me, just throwing it out there, calling it in the dark. AdMech, just because
I think so too.
They're going to shoot him off the table.
But
hey, you never know though, because the dice gods always, they give and they take, and then a lot of times we can sit here and dice math shit out all day, but it's not actually how the army even performs. But
yeah,
I would see them winning. I mean, the stuff he beat though, he beat all 3 boogeyman armies right now. He beat Custodes. Next one is Necrons, and then he beat Dark Eldar. He's doing something right. This list is doing something right. Tim, submit a better fucking list, goddammit, so I can actually see.
He's a man of few words.
Yeah, Jesus, bro. If you guys could see this list for all the 160 models that's in it, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 line items on a spreadsheet, pretty much. So it looks like. So it's easy to see what's there, and we can figure out the points. But I want to dive a little bit more into it because you did so well, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me going into Custodes, overwhelm the Custodes, right? Necrons, depending on the Necrons list, right? If they're playing, Hypercrypt and they have a bunch of the shooting guys, they got a bunch of mortals rolling around, I think that's actually a kind of a hard matchup just because they have so much firepower. But if they're not doing that and they're doing like Canoptic Court, this fucks up Canoptic Court, I think, just because you're able to just take everything off the board. And then with Dark Eldar, what's up?
I think this list does a lot of what Christian's list does. It really steals primary and strangles them off because you have all these bodies running around and you have these lictors which debuff your OC and make you take battle shock tests.
Dude,
so,
100%, man.
I mean, the entire army shoots and moves.
Yeah.
So it's deceptively quick and it's stealing your primary points. And it doesn't matter how hard you kill a Termagant unit if it's coming right back.
Yep.
It
is, yeah. It's just there. And the same thing like playing up against Dark Eldar. I think this just overwhelmed that Dark Eldar list.
Yep.
So I would love to see it on the table, man. Good job, Tim, man. Once again, good job to everybody at the Forge. So we had Sean, Kevin, and Tim. You guys crushed it this weekend. And that's it for events for this weekend, guys. Man, I know we made it through. Hey, that was a huge weekend. So before we close this up, I just want to congratulate everybody. Brandon, especially you, man. You won the biggest RTT. Thanks for coming on, man. Super happy to have you on our second episode. Hopefully we can have you again. Start crushing some more RTTs or some GTs, right? Speaking of that, let's talk about what we're gonna go into next week real quick, and then I'll let you get a closer, Brandon. You're gonna have the last word, my dude. I'm going to make sure. It's not going to be Aaron either, for sure. So
I'll get the second to last.
Yeah, maybe. Right. Hey, so next week we have TCG February RTT in Friendswood, Texas. We have another Dragon's Lair 40K February RTT in Houston again. We have War Games Con presents King of the Castle. It's going to be for January 24. Okay, that's in Austin, Texas. Oh, sorry. No, they have two events listed. That's weird. Okay, so it's their February event. It's War Games Con, King of the Castle for February. And then we have the February RTT at Battle Pub in San Antonio, the CGG February RTT in Dallas, Texas, and that's going to be it. So super excited to talk about these lists, guys, from next week. And then following that, we've got a couple GTs coming up. We have Clutch City that's coming up here. After that, we have War Dome again. We're going to keep talking about these until they happen. Super excited for all of these. Get your War Dome tickets. I know they're still available. Pretty sure Colin has a wait list that's out the door. After that, we're going to have Alamo. Everybody come to the Alamo. It's in San Antonio. You guys can come say hi. We'll buy you a beer maybe, depending on how many people actually want beers. And that's
back
always...
at the Hyatt this year, baby.
Yeah, dude. It's going to be a fun event at the Hyatt, so... and that one's always a great one to go to. With all these GTs, though, I want to give a shout-out real quick to Rexer's Lasers. He creates pretty much all of the terrain for every single major that happens in Texas. So if you guys are out here, you're listening to our podcast, you're checking on how to handle the Texas meta better, you need to buy some of his terrain. Because then you can actually practice to what you're going to have at these majors in these GTs. I myself have a couple sets. I know Aaron has a couple sets. So I will have his link at the end of this, and we're going to leave it in the comments as well. So hit him up, guys. All right. All that's been said. Oh, shit. I have to do this giveaway thing again. And we have the giveaway. Sisters didn't win this week, so Sisters are going to be the giveaway. Right? We are going to be giving away Morven Vol. Like I said, comment with your favorite Warhammer 40K army and your alcoholic beverage of choice. And if you don't have one, I'll take a mocktail as well. So leave that in the comment section. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. And you'll have the chance to win that. Everybody can do their closeout, guys. Nick, you got anything last to say?
My favorite army is Sisters.
Yeah, thank God. Hey, leave it in the comments. Oh, Nick can absolutely win. Anybody can win. It's going to be random. Aaron, you got anything?
Some cool lists, man.
Yeah, no.
The big one, Brandon, thanks for coming on. It's great having you here, little bro. It's great spending time with you, and I can't wait to see you at the next big event, and I hope we play again.
All right, man.
We know that went last time.
Once.
All right, Brandon, don't let him have it. You got the last word. Do a send-off.
All right, man. Hey, thank you guys for inviting me. I do appreciate it. Aaron, I hope to have another Knights on Knights matchup where I can lay another smackdown on you. Hatch means nothing when the dice start rolling, buddy. But I'm gonna go die quietly now here in my room. Nurgle's gift is absolutely killing me, and I will see you guys here in a couple of weeks at Clutch. Thank you again.
Hey, perfect. Thank you, man.
See you, Brandon.